Okay, so Sonic Colors Ultimate released recently, and yeah, the whole thing was a mess. What was meant to be an HD and definitive port of the Wii game turned out to be a product riddled with glitches that I won't show on screen because they pose as a genuine risk to those prone to seizures. It's really that bad. It is worth saying that a patch has been released to fix this, but those who don't download that patch are definitely still at risk, so be careful out there. Now, obviously this whole debacle has caused people online to argue over which version provides the best Sonic Colors experience. This argument is mainly between the Wii version and the new Ultimate port, but there's a select group of us who are sitting there like, what about Sonic Colors DS? That's right, the DS version by Dimps is what I consider to be the best Sonic Colors experience. Seriously. It's basically a spiritual successor to Sonic Rush and is considered part of that series, so it's already got a lot going for it. So I'll get into this game and talk about why it's the best way to play Sonic Colors, and I won't debate any one of this unless they subscribe to my channel first. Let's begin. Sonic Colors DS plays pretty much the same as the other two Sonic Rush games, since they all use the same engine. I suppose the one thing that is missing is all the aerial tricks you could do as Sonic and Blaze, and not gonna lie, as a man who plays a lot of Rush, it was pretty jarring, but you should be fine. After all, how many other people play Sonic Rush on the regular anyway? Gameplay wise, it's just your usual Sonic. You can boost, and you have your boost meter that fills up via white wisps or defeating enemies. There's a homing attack, spin dash, the latter of which is actually absent in Sonic Colors Wii, but that game didn't really need it anyway, so it's not much of a problem. In pretty much every aspect, I'd say this gameplay format is much more solid than the Wii version. You see, the Rush engine has had 2 previous games worth of fine-tuning, so all the physics are spot on, with the air movement and acceleration being basically flawless, as Sonic has the perfect amount of weight to him. Compare that to the Wii version, which is a practically brand new engine that has had a lot less time to mature, and the difference is notable. Particularly in 2D sections, Sonic's physics are really awkward in Wii, and it's hard to properly judge how far he'll move with one button press. None of these problems are present on the DS, so we can put that down as a point to Dimps over Sonic Team. What's probably the biggest difference is that the DS version has some exclusive wisps not included in Colors Wii. These wisps are the Burst Wisp and the Violet Wisp. The Burst Wisp transforms Sonic into a fireball, and you can press X to let out explosions to blast Sonic into the air. The longer you hold X down, the bigger the explosions you charge up. This allows you to explore the skies of each level and reach upper pathways that wouldn't have been accessible to Sonic on his own. The Burst Wisp can also interact with objects like this theme park ride in Tropical Resort that will throw it forward at great speeds. The other exclusive wisp is the Violet Wisp, which is pretty similar to the Purple Wisp in the Wii version. The difference is that the Purple Wisp chomps up objects to grow in size, whereas the Violet Wisp sucks up nearby enemies to grow and increase its area of suction. On top of this, it allows Sonic to hover whilst it's active. Yes, this game does have less wisps than the Wii version, but I'd argue that this is a good thing. The Spike Wisp was literally just a spin dash, which Sonic just has by default in the Rush engine. The Hover Wisp has basically been integrated into the Violet Wisp already. Sure, you can't ring dash with the Violet Wisp, but that was just a lightspeed dash put into a wisp anyway. There's also no Cube Wisp, but I don't think anyone will miss that one. You know, my biggest problem with Sonic Team's colors was that too many wisps felt like moves Sonic used to have in his default arsenal, rebranded as a fresh new gimmick. Whereas on the DS, the exclusive wisps actually provide unique functionality, and even the wisps that appear in both games are used better here. On the Wii, the Drill Wisp is heavily underutilized in my opinion, as it mainly just exists to find secrets or just to move you a little faster through Aquarium Park. On DS, there are whole pathways through the level dedicated to the Drill Wisp, with unique enemies designed specifically for underground. You have to think a lot more about how you use it so that you don't run out of meter whilst underground. The Rocket Wisp actually requires you to time when you activate it, and the CYAN laser can help you up to higher pathways rather than just bounce off crystals and nothing else. The wisps are just so much more involved here, and they switch up how you have to play the game so that every world feels unique. So yeah, the wisps are another point to Dimps. The levels, they're good too. Colors DS and Colors Wii feature the same worlds, and sure, obviously the Wii version and its recent port do look better, but the DS looks nice too. It's only DS graphics, but the art style does a good job of recreating the Wii environments. I think the one gripe I have is that Dimps have slowly moved away from bolder shading ever since Sonic Rush, which is a shame because I like how that game looks. In terms of how they play, well, they're extremely fast-paced and have a brilliant flow, which makes sense, since this game comes from the devs that kickstarted the boost formula for the entire Sonic franchise. I've always felt that this engine is exactly how Sonic should feel. No matter which way you're going, you're speeding along. Even when you're jumping over gaps and homing attacking enemies, everything goes by at a super fast pace. I hear people say speed should be an award for skill in Sonic games. I think that's a load of shit. Speed in Sonic should be there for all players to experience, and this game does exactly that. The reward for the skilled players is shortcuts accommodated by WISPs, or a red star ring, or a special stage. What Dimps has created here is a version of Sonic Colors with all the modern Sonic ticks, but with the DNA of classic Sonic levels injected in, creating what I would call the perfect hybrid. Even when you use a WISP, you don't stop, you use it on the fly as you run down a slope at Mach speeds. Now, I will say some stages can be a little too easy. I think Dimps heard people say that the Rush games had too many bottomless pits, which I disagree with, and they overcorrected a fair bit. There's a decent amount of areas where I'm falling, and I think I messed up, but then I hit the ground. And I mean, I'm glad I didn't die, but I'd like a little bit more attention in the earlier levels. It is a bit of a nitpicky thing, but I don't want to gush too much over how much I like the level design, so I had to get a complaint in somewhere. The Wii version has some solid 3D sections, but when it comes to the 2D, it was so inconsistent. You get some basic platforming that you'd have to slow down and stop to carry out, or there'd just be a stupid level where you have to stomp on a yellow platform for 5 minutes straight. I don't really know who greenlit that level, but I'd like a word with them. Point is, the Wii levels are fine, but have so many sections where you need to slow down. Then you have DS levels that are just balls to the walls action from start to finish. Oh, there's also the half-pipe special stages where you collect orbs to get a Chaos Emerald. These are fine, they had to use a stylus for something, I guess. A side note, Sonic Colors DS also has side missions in each world, which are just levels with different clear conditions. They mainly serve as a way to implement a bunch of side characters into the story, which is always nice to see, I guess. Okay, what about the bosses? Well, sorry to say, but I pretty much had the same problem on the DS version as the Wii version. There are 6 bosses, but half of them are just reskins of each other, so there's really only 3. I think these bosses are fine. They're definitely a little more enjoyable than the Wii bosses thanks to more variety in phases, but that's about it. However, just like the Wii version, the Nega Wisp Armor boss fight is awesome. I love how it uses all the different wisps, but to be honest, the Wii version objectively edges it out. The only reason I like the DS version more is because of nostalgia, but it probably won't be the same case for you. But I do think Sonic Team could have taken some notes from Dimps and implemented a bit of button mashing for the final attack, but that's a small detail. I'll talk about the big difference for bosses. Colors DS has an exclusive supersonic boss fight where you take on the Nega Mother Wisp. You fly in space as supersonic and blast asteroids into her tentacles. It's a fun little add-on, and I wish they found a way to implement this content into Colors Ultimate, but it seems they didn't get much right with that version anyways. I'll talk about the Mother Wisp more in a little bit. That probably wraps it up for gameplay. Now, the two versions are pretty different, but they both feature the same mechanics, which makes them easier to compare than you'd think. And yeah, the DS version excels in what it's meant to be, and has very few demerits. And the Wii version, well, it has some great parts, but also some not as great parts. Just play the DS version. What's different about the story? Not much, to be honest. The plot of the DS version is pretty much the same as you'd expect it to be, really. The big difference is that instead of animated cutscenes, the story is portrayed through PNGs and text boxes, like the other Rush games. And hey, I'm not exactly a guy who can sit down and criticize conveying things through character PNGs. Let's be honest here. Not gonna lie, this approach to the storytelling does help cut out a lot of the terrible jokes in the Wii version. If you know what I mean by that, you know what I mean by that. Each cutscene is quick and to the point and doesn't force any unnecessary quips or gags. It's essentially a streamlined version of the Wii game story. I should say that some big moments do use the pre-rendered cutscenes from the Wii. Sure, they're heavily compressed, but it's not the worst I've ever seen. I mean, if people are gonna pay 50 quid to play Xenoblade in 240p, then this is perfectly fine. Oh, just occurred to me, some of you may not know the plot of Sonic Colors. Okay, so, Eggman builds a giant amusement park above the planet, which people supposedly didn't notice until it was done, and it's also supposedly done as an act of remorse for his past transgressions. You following this so far? So, Sonic calls bullshit on this and breaks into the park without a ticket. There he finds Eggman has kidnapped alien planets as part of his theme park. Again, no one on Earth noticed this. Oh yeah, okay, so what else? Yep, the amusement park is actually a disguise for Eggman's mind control cannon, and he is using the Wisps as energy to power it. So that's the basic layout, for anyone who didn't know. It's definitely some stupid shit shit. The Sonic series has two different types of stupid. They either have Sonic ascending to a multiversal level of power to engage in a duel with a godly being that spans across multiple timelines, or there's a theme park designed to enslave humanity. But we just roll with this stuff, don't we? What I like about the DS version is that Dimps took a random line from the Wii game about Eggman draining a giant wisp and made a whole bonus story out of it. Dimps wrote it so that Eggman had drained the Mother Wisp, turning it into the Nega Mother Wisp. After the main story, the Nega Wisp goes on a rampage and Sonic has to power up into Super Sonic and fight it in space. Yeah, there's not much else to it outside of the boss fight, but we learn that the Mother Wisp created all the wisps, yeah, no shit, and all of the Wisp planets. I just really appreciate that Dimps decided to add in a whole chunk of extra lore and explain the history of the Wisps. Also, in the DS version we learn that the Mother Wisp transports the planets back to their original locations after Sonic puts her back to her original form. This was a nice little detail because in the Wii version the planets just fly off with no explanation. I imagine Dimps just saw that part when adapting the game and went like, what the fuck? We need to fix that. And I'm glad they did. To end off this part, I just prefer what Dimps did here. They cut out all the cheesy bullshit and colours and gave a streamlined and more digestible version of the story, and added in their own original bonus story at the end. Good for them. Let me list off some extra stuff real quick. The multiplayer actually lets you play through regular levels rather than this ugly thing on the Wii version. I like the gallery they added to view artwork for each aspect of the game and to listen to the soundtrack. These are features you probably wouldn't use much in either version, but Dimps did it better. So, after watching all that, you could say I like Dimps. I guess you could say I simp for Dimps. Thank you very much. I'm here all week. Thank you so much. It doesn't even fucking rhyme. I think I made my reasons very clear already. The DS version is simply more consistent than the Wii version. There's no dodgy areas where you have to kill your speed to progress, the physics are all sound, and the controls work fine. Yet, you don't have 3D sections, but you have an experience that is pure fun with no slow areas. Dimps effectively went and took what they learned from the Rush games and used it to create a more enjoyable and efficient adaptation of Sonic Colors. And that's why Sonic Colors DS is the best Sonic Colors experience. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully I'll never have to use the phrases Wii version and DS version so many times at once ever again. Like and subscribe because remember I said that's the only way you can disagree with me. If you subscribe, watch the rest of my stuff and yeah, I'm away.